Let me see who is on tonight. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year to everyone. I know that I would have said Happy New Year to some people, but I didn't get to say Happy New Year to everybody. And so I'm taking this opportunity to wish everybody a belated, happy, blessed, and prosperous 2020. I trust that whatever you do, that you persevere, you do not give up. Things are not going to be easy. As much as we want an easy life, life doesn't promise us that it will be easy. Life is going to give us challenges to elevate us if we choose to elevate ourselves, or we will get challenges and we will degrade ourselves. So one of the constants, one of the most popular issue in many of our lives is people holding on to people that do not want to be in our lives. So that's the pain. That's the pain. Hi, Andrew Providence. Good night. I'm so happy that I'm seeing comments. So the pain for many of us is hanging on and holding on to people that do not want to be in our lives. So, and when I reflect now on times when I've made people think that I cannot live without them, when I reflect on that, it's just ridiculous. So I know that some of us are elevated and we have passed that stage where we no longer depend on anyone to validate us, depend on anyone to make us happy. However, there are some of us who are still hanging on and holding on to people who are trying to get away from us. So tonight's topic is to let them walk away. Let people walk away if that is what they want to do. You have to reach to the point where you give people options to walk away. If they do not see the value in you, if they do not recognize you for who you are, you have to be able to let people walk away. So many times we make people think that they are not replaceable. We let them treat us any old how, and we accept anything. Good night, Ingrid Robin. How are you doing? Happy New Year to you. So we accept any kind of treatment from people, and this doesn't have to be a personal relationship, like an intimate relationship. It could be family members, friends. We allow people for whatever reason to pop up in our lives, and then we let them treat us any old how. And in spite of the fact that they are treating us any old how, we hold on to them. We hold on to them thinking that they will bring us happiness. We hold on to them thinking that we need them to validate us. We need them to appreciate us. Sometimes it's like that, we are looking to them, to people, some people, for appreciation. We're looking to them for recognition, and it's natural. It is natural that when we sometimes we need that encouragement, we need that love, we need that appreciation. But because we realize that humans are so fickle, we have to reach to a point where we no longer depend on others for the things that we have to provide for ourselves. If we want to maintain our sanity, if we really want to maintain peace and happiness in our lives, we have to get to the point where we no longer depend on other people for things like that are attached to our happiness. What are some of the things that are attached to our happiness? Good night, Gail Cummins. We need appreciation. We need to be loved. We need to be spoiled. We need people to buy gifts for us. These are things that we enjoy receiving. We need people to spend quality time with us. We need people to be considerate of us. We need these things. So hear what? If you are in a situation where you're needing these things from people and they're not giving them to you, you gotta give them to yourself. Give these things to yourself. No, because the thing, is that many times when people realize that we are dependent on them, they often take us for granted. So let us start 2020 for those of us who are dating or even single. Let us, even if you're in a relationship and you're seeing that you're not getting that validation and everything that you need, let us start working on ourselves so that we no longer depend on other people for certain things. Because when when we expect these things, this love, this appreciation, these tokens, these gifts from people, and they do not give it to us, it makes us unhappy. When we expect these things and we do not receive them, it makes us unhappy. So I am getting to the point where I no longer expect certain things from people, but guess what? If they give it to me, I say thank you, I appreciate it. That's the point where I am at now, because so many times we are living in our heads and we are expecting things from, and most times this is in a relationship, we're expecting things from the other person. And so when we do not get those things, we are sorely disappointed. So we have to reach to the point where we start just. Now, there are other issues related to all of this. Many times we get involved with these people, and many times these people, they become abusive too, because when we hold on to them like that, and we cannot, we feel like we make them feel like if they are God. And we give them so much importance that they become insultive, they insult us, they abuse us, and they do these kind of things. So we have to be careful. And men and women are often subjected to this kind of treatment. So that is why it is so important as a person, whether you are a man or a woman, it is important that you become self-reliant. Self-reliant in that you do not depend on others for certain things. You learn to be resourceful to yourself. And as a woman, and even as a man, you know that one of the key things is that you need to be employed. Find some source of income, legal source of income, so that at the end of the day, you do not have to depend on anyone for anything. Because this in itself makes you a slave when you're depending on the other person for financial support. That too can really make you become a slave. So then it's like you're just like a dog because you cannot help yourself. And men can fall victim to this, women can fall victim to this. So you have to be independent. And I think one of the things that is happening in our society is that we are not teaching our women especially to be independent. And so you find a lot of women coming up with the whole mentality that they have to have money from men. And so sometimes when they meet men, the first thing that they look at is the money that they get from the man. And so the man pushes money at them, and they are like, thinking, okay, this is love. And then sometimes these men in this situation might be abusive, but then the woman is not looking at that. The woman is just looking at what the man is offering. And there are many instances of this. So women, we need to start as mothers, as parents, we need to start teaching our children to become independent. Our women need to know that they need to work. Even if it's not a 5 to 8 to 4 job, at least a small business, something, be resourceful so that you do not depend on a man for money. It's like we need to start thinking about, okay, when we are in relationships, that we're gonna build each other up. Because if you go into a relationship and you're not on the level that the person is, somebody's gonna fall victim. In another instance, you could have a man falling victim too, because if the man is not working and finds himself with a woman who is working, the same thing can happen. So we have to preach independence in our men and our women, learning to get up and work for what you want. So that when people want to go, you're not thinking that you need them to stay because you need financial support. When you are independent, you don't care. You're not supposed to be caring who wanna go, because guess what? Even if they leave, you can still pay your bills. That's the kind of mentality I have. So that it is so easy for me to walk away from anything that does not serve me. Anyone who is trying to take me to make a fool, or anyone who is trying to abuse my kindness, it is so easy for me to walk away. And that is the position that we have to take as men and women. We have to be able to let people walk out of our lives. Let people walk away. Let them walk. If they want to go, let them walk. You don't need people who are gonna listen. I used to think that relationships is hard. But relationships are not supposed to be hard. Relationships are not supposed to feel like if you are always bending over backwards. Relationships are hard work in one sense, but it's not supposed to feel like an uphill battle at all. And you know what? The thing is, why we are many of us are in this position is because we lack that proper parenting when we were growing up. Because we never had the parental guidance. Many of us, we grew up in single parent households where we never saw the kind of love and appreciation that we should get from our mothers and our fathers. And so because of that, we end up and we are confused about what a relationship is supposed to be. It took me so long before I realized that the things I was doing, I didn't need to do them in order to make something work. I didn't need to do those things. But because I was attaching, one of the things that we biggest mistakes that we make, we think that by doing more for the person, by being more kind, that the person is gonna accept us. But let me tell you something. If within a couple of months you are in a relationship and you realize that the person does not accept you, they're not making time for you, you have to be begging them to call you, you have to be you don't even know much about that person, they're not talking to you about, they're not telling you certain things, you just realize that this person is not into you. And stop this begging and stop this trying to convince anybody and being so kind, because we're thinking that if we give them more, if we be nice to them. Let me tell you something. You see, men, let me tell you something, men. If you are interested in a woman and the woman is interested in you, that woman will make time for you. So one of the things I always tell men is that do not push your money up front for a woman. Do not do it. Because if you push your money up front for a woman and she is attracted to that, the same thing that attracts her is the same thing she's gonna leave you for. So if you push that money and in the end you do not have the money to give her, she will leave. Again, she probably might play you for a fool, take your money, and then have somebody on the side. So if you are interested in a woman, and let me tell you, just take time to know the woman. Invite the woman out. Yes, you can pay for the lunch and all of that. But those are the things. You ain't had no right. You haven't really been in a relationship with a woman and just passing money to the woman and just like that. That's crazy. That's craziness. I have a son and I would not encourage him to do that, because there are gold diggers out there. Men gold diggers, women gold diggers. So men, keep your money in your pocket if you're trying to look for a good woman. Do not just flaunt your money and say, hey, I got all this money. Sometimes you have to hide these things and let the woman appreciate you for who you are. If the woman sees you as poor and she doesn't appreciate you, then you know she sees the money and all of a sudden her interest changes, then you know all she wanted was the money. So that's a piece of advice for men. On an overall basis, let people walk. Let people walk out of your life if they want to go. Never make anyone think you can't do without them. Never, ever make anyone think you cannot do without them. Because sometimes, let me tell you something, in the beginning, it's all good, because when you meet the person, it's like they're showing you their best face. They're giving you the impression that they're all of this. And sometimes you can't really you can't really blame them because everybody want to put forward the best foot, but you have to give this relationship time, right? You give it time to develop. Give it time to develop. Don't just rush in and start having feelings. And even if you have feelings, hide your feelings. Don't tell the person you have feelings for them. 2-3 months in and you're telling the person you have feelings for them, they usually take you for granted. Have your own life. Do things on your own. Find your own hobbies. Do your things. Do not and do not make anybody feel that they are invincible. You understand? Many times when we pick up with these people, we leave everything that we had going for us. We don't have any hobbies. All of a sudden we don't have anything else. All of a sudden we don't want to spend time with other people. We don't want to spend time with friends. We don't want to invest in ourselves. We just focus all our attention on the person, and then this person, no, they just get fed up, because there is a saying that familiarity breeds contempt. And let me tell you something, we see this not only in intimate relationship, we see it otherwise. And that is one of the reasons why I even if I have friendships, we have to maintain some sort of space. So imagine somebody in your face every day. Imagine somebody in your face every day. Eventually, you're going to get fed up of this person. So one of the things that I find that works for me, that is working for me, is to just give people space. Give people space to miss you. Gives people space to do their thing. Another thing is that find your own interest. What is it that you're interested in? Find things that you're interested in. I'm looking on Facebook and I'm seeing so many people, men and women, being heartbroken. And they're grieving about it. But let me tell you something. If you are in one of those relationships, I'm the kind of person to help you with that, because let me tell you, I've had a lot of crap. But let me tell you, see me? When I fed up, and I am not gonna lie down and say, okay, well, I give up on love and relationships. I'm not gonna do it, not because it never worked, because you know what? There's a lot of things that I never understood. I was doing wrong. I was doing a lot of things wrong. So you have to start to make, just focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Take time. Have time with the person, but focus on yourself. Stop. And if you see you're putting in effort and the person is not putting in effort, you know that the person does not want you. If you are the only one who is trying to make something work, you know that the person is not interested, because when somebody is interested in you, they're gonna do their part. I wish somebody could have told me this a long time ago, that I didn't have to try and do more things and do more. The more you do is the less respect they have for you. The more you do is the more listen, they look at you and they despise you. You're meaning well, but you're going about it the wrong way, and it's not attractive, because they're looking at you and they're saying you have no respect and no self-love for yourself. So you have to reach to the point when you see people start doing your things, be prepared to walk away and be single if you have to. Be prepared if you have to walk away and be single. Being single is not a crime. Many people think that, oh, you're single, you're lonely. No, you don't have to be lonely if you're single. I'm single, dating, yes, but I'm single. And I'm not lonely. I have so many things to occupy myself. Find things to occupy yourself. I wish somebody could have told me these things like long ago, when I was so stupid and thinking that, oh, it's all in my feelings, and because you feel a certain way that you have to make people just walk all over you. No. Let's start teaching our young people this, become self-reliant, become independent, have their own lives. And let me tell you something, do not tolerate anybody who is gonna try to walk all over you and take you for granted. Never tolerate that. Don't be so, and these are the same people who will come back and tell you you don't love yourself, eh? When they see that you are tolerating their disrespect, they are the same ones that come back and tell you you don't love yourself. And no, it doesn't matter what you do for these people, eh? It doesn't matter. So even when when that person do not like you, when that person do not appreciate you, stop doing more. Don't do more. That's the worst thing that you can do. The best thing that you can do for yourself if somebody does not appreciate you is to withdraw that attention from them. Take back your power. Take it back. The more attention you give to somebody who does not want you, is the less attractive you become to that person. Take back your power. If you are in a situation where you're not being appreciated, you're being taken for granted, start giving yourself some love. And when you talk about self-love, what is it that we're talking about? It's not just dressing up and looking good. Yes, that's part of it, because of course you have to present yourself properly. So self-love, yes, is physical care, it's taking care of your hair, it's cutting your hair if it's a man, and it's in your whole department. But then there are also other things in terms of self-love. It's about personal development, finding time and developing yourself. What is it that you want to do with your life? Find things to do, read books, learn to reflect on yourself, learn to be okay by yourself, learning to do things by yourself. I've gone on dates by myself. I go to a restaurant, I sit down and I eat, and I enjoy my meal by myself. You want somebody to take you out and they're not taking you out, take out yourself. Take out yourself if nobody is taking you out. You want somebody to buy a gift for you and they're not buying a gift for you. Buy that gift for yourself. For God's sake, buy the gift for yourself. You want somebody to tell you how pretty you are? My God, look in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful. Compliment yourself. You want somebody to tell you they appreciate you? And they're not, because I used to be like that. I know how that feels. I used to be like that. You want them to tell you they appreciate you and they're not telling you that? Appreciate yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people might say it's vain, but who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do it? So we have to learn to do these things and give people. One of the things I realize is that you have to give people that freedom to move. Because you know what? The thing about it is that some of these people, they don't know better. They don't know better, unfortunately. Sometimes we're looking for love and we're looking for things from people, but they do not have it to give to us. They don't have it. They do not know better. But they don't recognize it, and sometimes they don't even see it as a shortcoming. They just, and sometimes they blame you, but they don't know better. They don't know better. You wanting things from somebody who do not even know how to give it. Some people don't know how to love other people. Some people just don't know. Some people, all they know is selfishness. Sometimes they don't know, because one of the things that I'm looking at now, and let me tell you something that I'm learning now, is always go back to the person's history in terms of how they were raised. And I'm not saying that because when you go, you're going to find out things. And sometimes if the person is at the right place as you are, it will be easier for you to connect with the person. But if you see you're finding out things about the person and you see that that person has a lot of pain there and is in defense mode and not willing, that person is not, you don't take that person as a project. It's not a good idea. If the person is expressing things and feelings and telling you about their past, but they are at a good place where they are accepting of it, then that's a person to work with. But you see people who have all of that pain and just have it there, and they're angry and they're bitter and all of that. These people, no. Stop taking up projects. It's 2020. Stop taking up projects. And I know women love to do that. A lot of women love to take up projects. And there are men too who think that they can take women because they look good in physical and think they can mold them into what they want. Men, I'm sorry to tell you, you can't. You can't. Don't try to think that you could you just meet a woman and she's one way and think you can mold her. It's never gonna happen. Never. You're making a big mistake. And similarly, women, that's the same thing. When you see these projects, you leave these projects. Don't try to think because I'm telling you, you're gonna cause yourself so much heartache. Better meet a person at a place where they are willing and able and committed. You understand? Because when you see these projects and you're trying to help them, eventually the projects get so good, and then they leave you and they put you in so much distress and they go on about their business. That's it. That's just it. It's a sad truth. Ronald Henry said very important things that you tend to learn only by experience, and that is so true. I tell you, there's so many things I'm learning now, and down the road I will expose more of these things because it's getting at that place for me. There's so many things I didn't know. Cassio Agaro said very interested. Gail Cummins said to talk walk away. Ronald said absolutely true. They don't know better, are incapable to love sometimes because of issues from childhood. And that is so true. For me, issues from my childhood, I got it all wrong. Issues from my childhood, I got it all wrong because I didn't know. And so, but the difference with people is like, even if you've been through stuff in your childhood, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna come out and change, because some people recognize that that they need to change. Some people recognize their issues and they make the efforts to change. And when you experience relationships that literally bring you to your knees, like I've been, and you have two choices. You can get out of that and be bitter and angry at everybody else, or you can get out of that and learn. Because I could have been to the point where I hate men because of my experiences with men, and I could have been to the point where I do not trust any man at all. But that's not the case. The thing is, sometimes we see red flags, but we ignore these, and then we tell ourselves that everybody is the same because we pick the wrong people. And many times we pick the wrong people because of the place where we're at. So where, let's say when I was 22, I was at a different level. I didn't understand a lot of things. So the people I chose to be with would have been from my limited capabilities, from my limited knowledge. But then as I gained more knowledge and experience, then I started looking at things differently, and eventually you evolve. That's one way. But sometimes, unfortunately, men and women, because of their past experiences, it affects them in such a way that there is no hope. They become bitter, they become vengeful, they hate the opposite sex. And so when they get into relationships, they are not going into love. They are going in just to use you and see what they can get, and that's just it. Because they're just vengeful. They've been hurt and they're putting up defense, and they are just going about it in the wrong way. And that's really messed up. But unfortunately, it is the way. So I call these people projects, right? When they are at that point where they're bitter and they're not, they're just stuck because of some past something, and you're picking them up, you're picking up a project, and it's very hard to deal with these human projects. Human projects are different than other projects, because humans, you do not know, you cannot read them, and sometimes they become so smart, they pretend to have one agenda, and by the time you realize what's happening, you've been blindsided and you just don't know. So you have to be so careful, because many times we don't want to be single, we don't want to be by ourselves, and we think that a relationship will validate us. And so we always, because I remember growing in my younger days, people used to be asking me, why are you not married, and all of these things. And I used to tell myself that something is wrong with me, because I grew up with the thing that, okay, I need to be married by 25 because everybody's preaching this married thing. So then I was saying, okay, something is wrong with me. But yes, something was wrong with me, is that I didn't understand the whole thing of loving myself and relationship dynamics. There's a lot I didn't understand. That's just it. So let me see here now. Absolutely true. They don't know better, right? Let's see. And then Sean Williams says, "It's true, preacher's sister." Yes, it's just sad. And so We just don't, we have to try not to be naive. When we're meeting people, a lot of people have trust issues. And at one point, I actually had so much trust issues. But there's no guarantee in love and relationships. However, I think that one of the things I'm realizing now is that you can actually, to some extent, have some control over the outcome of a relationship if you look at the person and learn to read that person early on. So if a person tells you that they're not interested in a relationship early on, do not try to convince a person. If you are interested in a relationship and the person says they just wanna just have a good time, go about your business. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. That's a big mistake. If the person is telling you that they do not want a relationship, don't waste time and try to convince them. If you want a relationship, you have to be strong enough to delay your gratification. And that's the thing with us, we don't know how to delay our gratification. We want something, but we are telling ourselves, okay, well, since we can't get that, let us take this instead. And it's the same with relationships. Because, okay, let's say you want a permanent, you want a long-term relationship, and then you're meeting somebody who is telling you they do not want a long-term relationship, and you prefer to gratify your emotions then than to walk away in all ease and save yourself the pain. And by doing so, many times when we don't delay our gratification and we get into these relationships, we block our blessings. We block the people who are intended to be in our lives by sticking in a relationship with somebody who is putting us through hell sometimes. Somebody who is treating us like a dog and do not want us. And we spend so much time getting over the heartbreak. Do you know how long it takes to get over a heartbreak? How long does it take you to get over a heartbreak? Every time I learn to know someone and it gets to that point where I'm like that, it takes me about 2 years. I have to spend a good 2 years working on myself. That's a waste a lot of time. I ain't got no more time to waste. So therefore, I'm telling myself, like, my thing is that by the first couple of months, I'm looking at you and your agenda is so different than mine. I'm not wasting my time, because it's better to walk away in the beginning than it is when you are already so enslaved by your emotions. That's the most difficult part. And all of this time that you're wasting to get over heartbreak, you could be using to build yourself. No, I ain't got no time for that. I'm 42 years old. I ain't got no time for that. So I'm not gonna waste time be trying to love anybody who is proving to me that they do not want my love. I'm not gonna do that anymore. Too old for that. They don't want your love, walk away. Stop trying to get validation and stop trying to get their approval and stop trying to convince them to stay. If they belonged in your life, they wouldn't leave, and they wouldn't treat you the way that they think. So you have to get that part going. Sometimes it's rough and it's easier said than done, but I know it's possible because I've been there. Sometimes you have to close these doors, and because you have one life to live. You don't know how long you're gonna live it, and to live your life in pain, for unnecessary pain because somebody didn't want you, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's really a lot. So you gotta just start looking at yourself now, and reflecting on yourself and telling yourself, you know what? Nah, no, no, no. I'm gonna love myself, and I'm not gonna be a slave to any kind of relationship. If I am in a relationship that I am not being appreciated for, I have two choices. I can appreciate myself and live with that. But come on. In a relationship, come on. I'm not saying that you're totally supposed to depend on the person. No. But come on. Sometimes these same people are appreciating other people. And you there, and they're not giving you any appreciation. You're doing little things like, men, for instance, they do little things. Sometimes men don't like to talk. Men like to do action. And so a man now, sometimes we feel like men do not need appreciation, and so we don't appreciate them for the little things that they do. But we like that. We like to hear that when we do something. Let's say we helped you out with groceries. We took you out to get groceries, or we went to buy your gas for you, or whatever it is, like a man does that. Then, thank you, show the appreciation. Same way with a woman. Okay, I helped you wash some clothes, I did whatever, and so you need this appreciation. And okay, let's talk about Ronette. So we're gonna swing a little here. Ronette Henry says, how important is education, job, and income to you? And I think I touched on that a little bit earlier on when I said that women and men, because we're living in a society where most of the times our women are expecting that the man is the only one should provide. I hope, thankfully, we're coming out of that, but we're still seeing evidence of that where women are thinking that the man is to give finance all of the time. But my thing is that having a job is very important. If you when you're working, it gives you choices. It gives you the ability to choose from from a no pressured point of view. Because let's say if you're not working, then you have to settle. And sometimes you settle for people who you otherwise would not look at. So having a job is important. As a woman, I'm not gonna pick up a man that is not working. Period. For me, that's gonna happen if, like, maybe you just lost your job and you're trying to get something else. But I'm not gonna go and pick up somebody who is sitting on the block and not working. It's not gonna happen, because that is reducing my income, because then you're not working, you're gonna be looking to me, and I don't have time for that. I'm at a different place. So choosing a partner is based on where you're at, because there's some people who are okay with giving woman money and letting the woman stay home. But I say no, be independent. Women and men, we need to be independent. Education is very important, because one of the things and when I say education, I talk about maybe not having all of the degrees, but the ability to reason and understand is very important. Because let me tell you something, the worst thing you could do as an educated person is be in a relationship with somebody who don't have common sense, somebody who does not know how to reason. Because you see, when you have problems, first thing, they don't even know how to communicate. They don't even know. You're trying to tell them something and they're going around the clock and they cannot see your viewpoint because they are just so stupid. And you know what? And some people, they reach to the point where they get so involved with these people, and then they realize, okay, well, you are basing your attraction on the person's physical looks or probably their money. So you miss the fact that the person is an idiot. You miss the fact that the person is an idiot. And it's a big thing when you put yourself in a relationship with somebody who is an idiot, because you're smart and they're an idiot, and they're getting on like a fool. The least little thing they're not listening, and they're getting on like fool. So it's not gonna work. And then have you ever seen people, well-educated man, woman, being slaves to people who don't have sense? It happens because they allow the physical attraction to lead their emotions. Income is very important too. But let me tell you, for me, I say education is very important. You deal with a person based on your level of your intellect. I like to have positive conversations. So I'm going to choose somebody with that kind of ability, right? Because I'm not going to choose somebody who cannot reason if I love to reason, because who will I reason with? The job, for me, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to whatever, because, I mean, there are people who are electricians, there are masons, there are other things, and they are doing quite fine. So it depends on what you're looking for. Everybody has their own thing. Income, yes, is very important, but at the same time, there are relationships that work quite well with even when the woman is making more money than the man. But my question is, is the man gonna be okay with that? If the man is gonna be okay with that, because there are instances where men will not be okay when a woman is bringing in more money. Sometimes that may be based on the man's own insecurities. Sometimes it is because the woman might show up herself because she's working for more money. So I always say, try to find somebody on a level that you can deal with. I could remember some year, I was looking at crime stories, and there was this woman. She was about to graduate with, I think it was a master's, and the man she married to, I think he was just doing common jobs, and he killed her. He killed her. There was this envy, so you have to be careful. It's about finding somebody who you are compatible with on your level. Understand? So if you know certain circles are not for you, it's just not for you. So you have to find that person who are on a level that you will be comfortable with. I for one, I always say that I would not be involved with somebody because of their looks. You have looks and you don't have common sense, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, because the worst thing you can do is find yourself involved with an idiot. That's the worst thing that can ever happen to you. Find yourself in a relationship with somebody who is just lacking common sense and cannot reason, cannot hold a good conversation, and you're trying to talk to them and they are all getting all things, they cannot, they're getting ignorant and stupid, and you're just trying to, and the thing is, they do not understand you because you're talking on a level that they do not understand. So you have to, when you're dating, you have to date wisely. Every moldy bread has their cheese, so look for your cheese. Yeah, look for your cheese. That's it. That's a good question. I hope Ronette Henry, I hope that I answered that question for you. It all depends on what you want. There are some people, there are men who are at home and women going out, and they have perfect relationships. So it depends, can you deal with your partner working for more money than you? Can you deal with being home while your wife work? There are some husbands who do that, and they have good relationships. Can you, if you're a person who believes that both partners should work, then you don't expect to go and pick up a lazy woman. If you're a man and you say you want a woman who is working, then you go and pick up a lazy woman and trying to tell her to get up and go work. It's not gonna happen. Likewise, as a woman, if you tell yourself you want a man who is working, then you go on the street, you pick up a man on the block, and then you're expecting the man to work, you have a problem there. So it's about choices. It's about making those choices, because I used to think that, okay, it's all about just meeting somebody and blam, you fall in love. No, relationships should be intentional. I am realizing that now, that it should be intentional, that you are looking for certain things and you're rejecting, if your deal breakers are, if you're seeing deal breakers there, that's just it. Deal breakers are there. For me, one of my deal breakers is that I would not marry to somebody who do not love my children. I would never marry to a man who does not love my children. That's just it. It's a deal breaker. You don't love my children, I'll never marry you. Never marry you. Ronette Henry says, yes, I agree that it is extremely important to find someone that is compatible. You have to do that. That's just it. Compatibility is key. Rocky O'Gara says it. Yes, it is key. So that's the whole thing. Whatever is compatible to you, and to your agenda as well. What is your agenda in going into the relationship? Is it to build each other up? Because one of the things I realize now is that you're supposed to be growing in a relationship. So if you've been in a relationship for 6 years and you're still at square one, that's a waste of a relationship. That's a waste of time. So you're looking for somebody who is willing to grow with you. Because what happens is that sometimes when you do not grow and the other person is growing, there's jealousy. Like in the instance with this woman who was aspiring, she's a master's, and the husband is just doing odd jobs. Then she's growing, right? She's growing. She's not at the same spot that she was. And so he couldn't deal with that because she had outgrown him. And similarly, There are women who sit down and they are comfortable to say, okay, well, I have a man now, so I'm all okay. No. And then the woman becomes so comfortable, and then the man is growing, and then you know what? The man left her out there now for somebody else because she refused to grow. She refused to get out there and educate herself. She just likes to have the weaves and the hair looking good and go to the parties and thinking, well, hey, my man has money and whatever. That man will leave you and get somebody else who is walking. Trust me, eventually. So if you are in a position where you have a rich man now, set up yourself mid-year, find yourself a business, get yourself organized, and let the man see that you're trying to, because eventually, you know, the man who can push the money first and try to get you, but eventually that man is going to want to see you start making some money and doing things. So if you're there, you're not growing, eventually the man is going to leave. You know, these are the things with relationships, you know, it's gonna leave. I've seen it happen. But I think I've spoken long enough. I just want to thank everybody for being here. And just, you know, this is not really to say, okay, well, your relationship is not working, just walk out. No, that's not it, because I always believe that there should be communication. Communication is very important. Ladies, men don't like to talk. One of the things I realize, men don't like to talk. Because sometimes when men talk, we like to curse them. So ladies, one of the things I realize is that we have to allow men to talk. We have to allow men, when I say allow them, I mean provide a safe space for them to talk without any judgment, without any hard feelings. Because if we allow men to talk, we will learn a lot. But many times we just want to be the one talking. And so when we have issues, instead of asking, you know, the man, you know, how are you feeling? Tell me what's going on. Like, you know, reassuring him that he can speak to you without any judgment. I just want to hear from your heart, having that heart-to-heart talk. You know, that is something I learned recently, having a heart-to-heart conversation, asking that instead of going away with a judgment. You know, you know, can we talk for a moment, and you know, find a safe space, a quiet space, and you say, listen, I just want to know, how are you doing? You know, how are you doing? And then he might say he's fine, and I'm like, you know, I'm like, no. I know there's something on your mind, and I'm willing to listen to you without any judgment, without cursing, without judging you. I'm just willing to listen. We got to learn to listen. Because when men know that we're gonna yap them up, they don't say anything. And you know what? Eventually, when they don't talk to you, they will talk to somebody else, or they might destroy themselves. Sometimes they become self-destructive. Sometimes they go and they talk to somebody else. And when they talk to somebody else, they're getting involved with somebody else. That's the problem. They're getting involved with somebody else. So you gotta learn to listen, because sometimes it's not just the man alone is the problem in the relationship. Sometimes it's the woman too, because the woman doesn't listen. And we mean well, or no, we mean well, but we have to listen to them. It's something that I'm learning. You know, there are a lot of things that I didn't know. And you know, one of the things too is that we become uncomfortable. We become uncomfortable to have heart-to-heart communication. We do not know how to express. We have so much to say as women sometimes, and even as men, but we don't know how to have a genuine conversation. We don't know, but I'm learning to do that, because that was my weakness, you know, not being able to express what was in my heart. And without judgment, without accusation, but expressing what I'm thinking. And if you can do that, it will save you so much heartache and pain. Havelin Charles say, hello Tiger Night. Havelin Charles. Rocky Agora said, not just allow them to talk, but respect their advice. Well, yeah, respect And you see, when you allow them to talk, you have to, yes, without judgment. And listen to, yes, respect their advice because if you're in a relationship, you ought to be having discussions and coming up with solutions. And so you have to be able to respect them. And how do you show respect? By listening to them. And when you get them to talk, you make sure that, you see, if a man knows that he can talk with you, he will talk. But if he knows you're gonna be blowing up in his face, you're not gonna get him to talk, because men don't like confusion. They don't like the argument and the drama. They don't like that. So you have to find a safe and safe space for them. And when they talk to you from the heart, and you do not do that kind of judgment, they will become more comfortable. And you do the same. Instead of cursing them, speak from your heart and tell them how you're feeling. Speak from your heart. Havelin says she's enjoying it's been a while. So speak from your heart. Yes, Havelin. Speak from your heart. Learn to do it, women, because I was like that. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know, honestly speaking. I didn't know how to communicate with men that I was interested in. I can communicate to you, but when it came to that level, the intimacy, we're not accustomed to that. We're not accustomed to intimacy. We're not accustomed to having, because we never grew up like this. I never grew up and hear my mother having like a thing conversation with me. So I didn't know how to do it. We're not accustomed to intimacy. And so we have all of this in our head, and we bottle it up inside, and then we wait until it blows up, and then that's when we burst out and we start acting crazy. But when we have issues, we have to find a way to start discussing these issues, and don't pile them up. So you're feeling hurt because of something that somebody did, your partner did, or your date, or whoever. Is let them know that, hey, you know what, when you did what you did, I felt a way. Tell them then. But you're afraid to do that. You're afraid to do that. I was like that. I was afraid. Afraid to say, well, okay, I'm feeling hurt because of something that that you did. I am feeling hurt. But you have to reach like that where you start. Don't build it up and pile it up and wait till next year for something that happened 2019, and then you're going on with it, and then all of a sudden now the man is like, but where that come from? As a woman, that's it. So that's the communication is key. So compatibility, in communication as well, and sometimes you can grow with that because it's not perfect. But, one of the things I realize sometimes is the woman sets the pace. A lot of times women, we have that power to set the pace in our relationships when it comes to communication, because naturally men do not like to communicate. So when you're in a relationship, what I'm learning now is like when you're dating and when you're thinking, you set the pace. So if you want communication, start to find techniques of getting that man to talk. Ask him about himself. Let him tell you about himself. Go back to his childhood. Learn things about him that's gonna make you understand how to deal with him. Because sometimes they are willing, but they don't know how. So when you learn about their past and you realize there are certain things that they missed in the past, and you realize that these things are important to them, then you use those things to really get that man to really bond with you emotionally. That's it, because it's not just the physical. And you see, one of the things that I didn't know is that it wasn't physical. So women, we can dress up all we like, we can dress up and we can look our best, and if we do not learn to connect with men emotionally, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. They're gonna go out looking for it if you're in relationships already. And if you're dating, they're eventually gonna just get the sex and just go, you know. So the emotional connection is not, yes, you have to look good because that's the first thing that they look at. But then how do you sustain that? How do you make this whole experience differently? You make this whole experience differently by connecting with them on a personal and an emotional level, finding out things about them, asking them about themselves. We like to talk, and we would like to talk to govern the whole evening. If we have a date, we want to tell them the man about all about them, and we're not asking questions. Ask questions ask them, you know, ask them what's going on. Yes, when you start to criticize and yell at a man, he will shut down. Yep, he shuts down, and you ain't getting him to talk. No way. Joseph Tony says on point. Well, let me hear. You know, you men are here, so you know. But I think at the end of the day, we just have to be intentional, and we don't leave love to chance. Maybe I need to let my next book be "Don't Leave Love to Chance." So we don't think that love is just gonna happen, but there are certain things that we have to do, because I thought that love was just gonna happen. But then now I realize that, you know, it's just not gonna happen, that you have to be intentional, and you can choose who you love. You don't have to love somebody because of their physical looks alone. You know, you can choose who to love. You can actually choose who to love. You can decide, well, this is the person that I'm gonna love. You can do that. And you know, and love and lust is two different things, because at the end of the day, you know, many times what we are thinking that we're feeling is not love, it's lust, because we're not connected to the person on an emotional level, but yet we are saying it's love. It's not love if you're not connected on an emotional level, if you do not have that intimacy where you actually get to know each other. And then again, a man who is interested in you is gonna ask you about yourself. So if you see a man is only talking about himself all the time and he's not asking you any questions, he's not interested in you. Mm-mm. If he's just asking, if he's just wanting to talk about himself and he's not asking you as a woman about yourself, he's not interested. I've seen that. I mean, Ophelia, how could you have missed those things, eh? How could you have missed that? Oh my God. Oh my God. How could you have missed those things? If they don't ask you, it's the same thing. A man or a woman, if they do not ask you, if they're not interested in how was your day, you know, ask you about yourself, want to know about your past. Not everything, because some does ask and when don't throw it back in your face, but they're genuinely interested about, you know, tell me something about your childhood. You know, you're having exchange of conversation where you're actually learning about each other. Because I used to think that, okay, it's one thing if I know all about the man, so I ask questions about the man, but then the man is not asking questions about me, so he's not really connecting with me, because at the end of the day, he's not asking anything about me. He's not interested in me. He doesn't want to know. And I didn't realize that he didn't want to know. Yeah, that's just it. So my thing is, if you're gonna just be willing to walk away, be willing to let people go. Sometimes and most time, I know that I wouldn't go back to anybody that I've dated in the past. I know that. And not go back to anyone that I've dated in the past. Mm-mm. If they want to go, let them go. Let them go. Let people be free to make choices. It is the hardest thing to do, but you have to let people be free. Do not give ultimatums. My thing is that I'm gonna tell you what I want. I'm gonna tell you what I want. So if I want a relationship, if whatever is important to me, I'm gonna tell you that. But what do you do with that information is up to you. I'm not gonna force you. I'm not gonna force you to do whatever with the information. So just because I'm telling you as a man that I am the whatever, do not expect that I'm gonna force you to do it. And it's the same for a woman, you know. A man, you're telling a woman, you tell people what you want, but then you cannot force them to give it to you. Cannot. That's the whole thing. You can't force nobody to give it to you. Yeah. What is it that you're looking for in a relationship? Yeah. What is it that you're looking for? Even do you really want a relationship? Do you want one? If you don't want one, don't waste time. All right, so guys, I know that this thing here, but guess what? I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. So this is something for reflection, right? These are some deep things for reflection. I tell you, I've learned so much of recent regarding these things. They were vexing to me because I just couldn't understand what it is that I was doing that I couldn't connect. On another note, for those of you who haven't, what you can do, you could actually go on Amazon and you can take a peek in the Kindle. So if you do that, you get a sample that you could actually download and read that part and see if you like it. For those of you who are interested in the book, this book is really it's a romance book, but it's also a book that gives perspectives from a man and from a woman's perspective, because sometimes people make decisions and then they regret, and sometimes it's too late. It's too late. Like one guy told me this morning, this book reminds me of when I was a player. That's what he was saying. It reminds me of I was a player, and like he regretted it. So men can read a book. I'd like men to read a book to see how women think, and women read the book because women need to know how to stand their ground and how to go about healing as well from relationships. So it's a romance book, but it's also a book that gives you tips on how, when you read it, you're gonna see it's incorporated into the essence of the book as to how you can go about, really dealing with your life, and when you are trying to get unstuck from a painful situation. So the book in itself was meant to really to be of help. So it's not just fantasy, it's fiction. I kind of incorporated my character, because you see the person is a nurse, but then that's as far as it went, but when you get into it, these are fictional characters, and it's a book that you will find funny at points. It's modern, so there are modern things in it, and it's just you just never know what's gonna happen next. So that's what the book is about. You're not gonna know what's gonna happen next, but I try to make it as interesting as possible without going to. So just read it and get some clues and whatever. All right, so guys, thanks again for viewing. I'm gonna go now. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ophelia. I just go by Ty Bella on Facebook, and have a blessed 2020. Remember, this year is a year for appreciation of yourself. It's learning to look at your own development, because when sometimes you're looking for things to change outside, but the biggest change will come when you work on yourself. The biggest change comes when you work on yourself, and that is what I've been trying to do. Read books, do different things, working on myself, because when you do that, even your perspective on things change. When you work on yourself from the inside out, things, your perspective change, and life becomes easier. Everything around you becomes much easier, and even because you're able to deal with situations more efficiently, and you're able to be more resilient. You're able to conquer anything, even a heartbreak. You're able to just walk away if you have to walk away, because you are now empowered, because you are focusing on self-development. To every issue that you're facing, self-development is the key. And when I say self-development, I'm talking about finding time for your spirituality, for praying, meditation, for connecting with God, and in reflection. I'm talking about not just your job, but your physical, taking care of your body, your mental health, proper sleep, the things that you need to do in order to really get to changing your perspectives, learning to see things from different point of views and stuff like that. That is just that's what the self-development is about. And when you do that, everything around you everything around you just becomes so much easier to deal with. And that's just the key. And one of the things that I encourage people to do going forward into 2020, every day while you're getting ready for work, if you're working, if you're home, whatever the case is, listen to something that's gonna set you in the mood to go out. That's what I do. Listen to something that's gonna set you in the mood in the morning. Something positive, something uplifting, maybe gospel music, maybe prayer, something on YouTube, maybe it's a motivational something, maybe it's a scripture verse, whatever it is. Find something every day that's gonna like give you that, put you in that spirit, because life is not easy. It's not easy, you know. Every day you have to be doing these things to really get you. It's a everyday thing. So it's supposed to be a habit that every day that I'm gonna listen to something that's gonna uplift me, because I know that I cannot do without that uplifting. It's like a jog, you know. I'm always needing something that's gonna boost my energy level so that I can go out and do what I need to do. So that's my final word for tonight. Good night, folks, and thanks for listening. Thanks for your input. I really enjoyed it. Bless 2020 to everyone. Bye.